Hello, this is Gordon Goodwin. Thank you for joining us today as we take an inside look at the Big Phat Band's new release, That's How We Roll. In this series of videos, we'll go deep inside the recording and production process that we undergo while making a record of this kind. Making a record like this doesn't happen overnight. It takes organization, planning, passion, perseverance, sweat equity, and money. Mustn't forget about the money. So, come with me, if you dare, as we speak in intimate detail with key members of the Big Phat Band, and we'll see firsthand the kind of evil genius it takes to make a modern-day big band record. Welcome to the making of That's How We Roll. So now, all of a sudden, I find myself surrounded by two other guys.
Bernie Dresel.
Right.
Oh, and Rick Shaw.
Come to rehearsal, would you?
I
forgot. Bernie, of course, is the fantastic drummer in the Big Phat Band, and Rick is our great bass player. So we're going to talk about playing the drums and playing the bass in the context of this record. Okay?
Yep.
You guys are there for most of it, so you should remember.
That's right.
Have some insight about it. So
don't ask me about titles.
well, here's what we've got.
I'm kidding.
Bernie has a problem with titles. He can play the music, you know, he can tell you what's in bar 83 of the chart, but he can't tell you the name of it, even though it's the name of the record.
That one I remember.
You remember this one?
We say that's how we roll, don't we?
Well, we do that sometimes, yeah. So, that's how we roll. The first thing, it's the foundation of that song is what?
It's a shuffle.
Let's see. Good answer. No.
That's my foundation.
I'm going with a shuffle then.
All right.
You don't even get it. The bass line is the foundation.
Right, it is. You're right. Okay.
He even plays it and he doesn't know.
Let's ask that question again.
No.
Because I wanted the edit. The bass line.
Well, it is. I mean,
it's a riff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you came up with first with this, or was it the melody?
No, it was that first.
Yeah.
It was that first. But I did know I wanted to have a Bernie Dresel shuffle, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a, no, it's not really a jazz shuffle, is it?
No, it's got that backbeat, not just or
So
it's not that.
So on a
jazz
shuffle, your left hand is playing.
I'm playing a lot of the eighth notes, not all of them. It's too many in fast tempos. I leave out 1 and 3, but don't tell anyone.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it still gives it that propulsion, but just not because if you were playing Count Bubba, that kind of shuffle, it'd be.
No, I do the same thing.
The same thing.
It's so ghosted, you almost think it's there. The other ones that aren't the backbeat.
Right. Okay.
So it's implied.
What about the kick drum?
All fours.
All four.
And heard. Not just felt but not heard and ghosted. A little more audible on that Bernie Dresel shuffle.
It's a Bernie Dresel shuffle. I mean,
Gene Krupa Toms. When you get a beat named after you.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't think I do yet, but then you know.
Because some people call it the Setzer shuffle.
Well, yeah.
Oh.
I think you need to claim it, man.
Yeah. There's the Purdy shuffle. That's
right.
halftime.
That's right.
With the shuffle.
Which is what?
Right. Okay, you know what? I'm completely bored already.
Sorry, too deep.
They're not.
Well, I guess we'll see. Well, so Rick, when you're playing this now, Rick gets a little bit handcuffed sometimes in the charts I write, because since I now know that many of them will end up as a chart by Alfred Publishing that high school kids and college kids will play, I'll say, okay, I'm gonna, and they like me to write out a lot of the bass line.
Yeah.
Now in this case, this is, you know, a building block of the composition, so you're gonna do that, right?
It changes sometimes in the soloing now.
Right.
Where I'll open it up more, because to help the soloist kick it along a little bit more, I figure instead of staying with the 2-bar lick.
Is it changes or is it still
No,
show the
I
lick?
change it.
Yeah, you change it.
I play different stuff.
Time to
Right.
Open it up a little bit. Let it
variation on a theme.
So you use your judgment to know when can I play off the part and when can I, play my own stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And for something like that, because then Bernie's not handcuffed as much either. He can open up and react more to the solos. If I'm just walking, for example, then it's keeping the same feel of things, but everyone can open up.
But you never know when you're going to have a baritone sax or bass trombone playing that same thing with you, right?
Well,
So you're gonna
yeah, you got to watch that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
You mean you gotta listen?
once in a while.
We're learning a lot of things today, aren't we? Well, that's how we roll. Is I think because becoming a staple in our set, and to me it. Even though I didn't know what I was going to call it when I wrote it, I knew this would go. Well, this is like a right down the middle Big Phat Band kind of tune, you know, catchy melody, but then has some kind of tricky bits that come in later.
Right.
And I think that one of the things that I have to fight on this is, as you say, to not play too fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because there's a tendency to if you overshoot that groove, then the whole thing is not happening, right?
And you're talking about live or in the recording, or either?
Well, either, but
Yeah.
I think on the recording, at least we have time to kind of reflect on it, you know, and make sure, because we're going to get in the studio and you're kind of
Right.
focused on that. Getting the right tempo is like one of the first things of the day, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then you find out later if it was right or not. I mean, you play it, you're there in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I know, like when I've done a live gig or if I hear recordings later of a lot of bands, you hear tempos, you go, man, it's way too fast.
Right.
Our band had a lot, I think. I think.
The adrenaline starts pumping, you know.
Well, and I got to say, even High Maintenance, the recording of that we did,
Yeah.
that seems fast to me now.
Right. Right. I agree.
It seems fast.
Yeah.
I know it's more difficult at that tempo because that's in the play-along book, correct? High maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
And when I work on that with my students, that's one of the harder things on some of your arrangements is we push the tempos on it and it creates problems. Meaning that makes it not just down the middle, easy to play. It's tempo driven that adds the difficulty level.
Yeah.
That it's at a tempo that's like in the crack or
Right.
something.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
I mean, it's cool in a way though, you know, because of that.
Yeah, well, it's definitely
It's
exciting.
challenging.
I mean, it
Yeah.
definitely charges the audience up. But I guess all I can do is just trust what my gut's telling me at the time, what feels right. Although I will say, I've tried to make an adjustment. Take a breath and say, okay, now,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
if I have some excitement or some anxiety about performing, let's put that aside if I can and try to find the core of what the tempo should be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important because it's like you're saying. For us, it feels like we gotta have an edge to it, you know. And I think everyone's thinking that too much. You know, the big bands of the past, they were playing for dancers, so it had to be a dance tempo.
Right.
They could see visually.
If it worked or not.
Right, exactly. We don't get that, you know, because no one's dancing for us, you know. But it has to feel. I look out in the audience actually, and I'm looking. Are the people moving? You know. And if they're just kind of nodding their heads, I'm kind of thinking, might be a little bit fast. But if they're kind of swaying their bodies and stuff, I go, okay, we got it.
Maybe he should keep his eyes on the chart a little more than the,
Well,
the
okay.
audience all the time.
I think he must have it memorized all of it.
Maybe he
It's
hasn't.
unbelievable that we're
I tried memorizing it, but you know when you make one mistake in this band,
I know.
I'm not talking about you. It's the other guys.
Oh, no, you're right. It's everyone.
It could be a tough room, no doubt.
Yeah. The readers, maybe?
Yeah.
Let's move on to another topic.
Edit.
Okay, now that we've managed to insult, you know, most of the rest of the band, let's move on to another song.
Oh, no, we're just getting started.
Well, let's talk about the second song on the record, which is called
How does song go?
Oh, Good Cats. Nice.
Well, you know what? I don't know if I mean, I've listened to the album maybe 4 times now straight down, but don't we put that second in the set?
Yeah, we do.
So that's why I made me
That's why
think of that.
it belongs there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, How Does Song Go, which was a title given us by our guitar player Andrew Sinowick. Best title on the record, I gotta say. And let's talk a little bit about that groove, about the Song Go groove, because it's obviously largely in your guys' court for us to play that with any level of authenticity, even for a bunch of gringos, right? So,
Well, it's a song go.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you guys know what songo is? It's, now, me a gringo, I don't know if I have the authority to talk about this, but mambo is the Cuban faster groove. Cha-cha is kind of their slower pulse groove. The mambo was around for many years. Then that was without a drum set, just the three-man typical percussion section of timbale guy, bongo, bell guy, and conga guy. 3 percussionists. Somehow they go, let's jump into the future and add drum set. And they'd have a drum set guy, and then 1 percussionist that was bongo, congas, kind of like the Phat Band, that kind of instrumentation. And now the roles were like where you're kind of borrowing from all 3 guys, and everyone's kind of a little more improvisatory rather than just groove. And that title of that is now called songo, but pretty darn close to mambo.
But is there a specific rhythm that's associated with the songo? A rhythm or a tempo or both?
Well, the tempo, mambo, tempo, I mean, or faster or some variation of that. But songo, the bell is real strong in that Will Ferrell cowbell, quarter note. Yeah.
Will Ferrell. If you've been a cowbell player, hard time. Yeah. Well,
he plays with the Red Hot Chili Peppers too, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
now, of course, despite the cowbell quarter notes, but you're playing, anticipating the downbeats.
Right,
The bass line.
and it's in 8th notes. It's the end of 2 and 4, and the way you have it written out here is with 16ths,
Yeah.
dotted 8ths and 16ths. And all
Saves paper.
that. Yeah, exactly. But it's the same rhythm, and it's all based off of that. Dum 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 gum gum ga-dum dum 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 da-dum dum dum ga-da-da-dum bum ga-dum bum 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 ga-dum bum, all kind of going towards that 4.
So you're not playing on 1. You could, but it's not a big one to hit.
Right, exactly.
Beat 1. You're avoiding a lot.
Yeah, but now what's different about this tune is it's also a little bit funky too.
Yeah.
You know, like there's some times where we're definitely laying on, like in some of the every 8 bars or whatever it is for the solos, we kind of boom, ga-dum, dum, you know, and lay down 4 there.
So it's a hybrid
Right.
of traditional
It's a hybrid, yeah.
meeting backbeat.
Yep, that's right.
Pop.
That's right. And so that's the tricky part on the bass is, I think, making it work in between those 2.
Yeah, and once
Sometimes
again,
landing on
you've
it.
got a lot of written figures and playing something that's more idiomatic of the groove, but then we do have to go, like you see in the downbeat, da-da-da-da-da-da.
That's right.
So all of a
Right.
sudden, you know, at the end phrase of the bar, then you're playing a written phrase with the band that does start in the downbeat.
Yeah, 1's not illegal. It's just not part of the main pulse when you're just playing the groove. It's there, obviously. It doesn't disappear, but you're not emphasizing
Interesting.
1.
Yeah, that's right.
Like when the gringos get lost, what do we say? Where's 1? You know, maybe the Cuban would say, "Where's 4?"
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
You know, it's not the main landing spot.
That's
1,
right.
4 or more is. I feel.
Socially, that's very interesting, isn't it? Culturally,
Yeah.
that they would be ambiguous about the first beat and float over it. I mean, it's totally cool. I was completely confused about it when I first started playing this kind of music years ago, you know, and it really felt quite, you know, like I was on a tightrope till I got to, you know, 2 and 4.
Right.
That first beat was like, why are they doing that, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But now I love it. I've kind of gotten in my body, and I'm comfortable trusting. Yeah, 2 will be there.
And now I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, you know, like
that part out.
James Brown, you know, on the 1. You know, so
Right.
different music has different emphasis of this is really important. This beat.
That's right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and where their traditions
just
come
downbeat.
from.
You know.
Right. Oh, I know. That's my point. On the solo section.
Tape is cheap. Just keep.
Yeah, great. It's all 1s and 0s. On the solos, we're bringing it down a lot. Sometimes you're out completely.
Right.
And so there's a lot of, we try to put in some color contrast.
That's right. That's a texture choice I usually make.
Right, and Bernie, you change it up a lot on that too. You go off the ride cymbals onto more hi-hat and
Yeah,
snare.
could be snare, side stick.
A lot
Or
of
I
time-
could go to traditional mambo and not that quarter note cowbell, whether it's on a cowbell or a ride or a hi-hat, where a more broken up traditional mambo pattern. Or,
Yeah, there you go.
you know.
Right. And a lot of times I'm palm muting the bass on that, just to kind of give more of a baby bass sound to it, where it's the more of a thud almost. You know, it's a percussive,
Oh, yeah.
pitched thud in a
Baby
way.
bass?
Yeah, the Ampeg baby bass.
Oh, right.
They still sound great with those.
Tell them what
bands.
that is. What's a baby bass?
It's an Ampeg baby bass.
Smaller.
Yeah, it's an electric upright.
Electric upright.
It was one of the first electric uprights.
Looked
One
like
of
a
the-
bass a little bit, but much more contained.
Right, one of the stick
Right.
basses.
Yeah.
And it's got a great sound for that stuff. You know, and they didn't use string bass after a while. They used those things because they punched out more, and because they didn't have a drum set without a kick drum, it was taking that place.
If you were really committed to this track and this groove, you would switch to the Ampeg baby bass for that section that you want that sound, instead of just trying to approximate it with your palm.
You're right. Let me get on the phone with my people.
Would you wait for him? Would you wait for him to switch though?
You know what? Drum solo. Now that was epic, wasn't it? Well, if not epic, at least mildly diverting. And you know what? There's more to come. So check back soon for more episodes of the making of That's How We Roll.